Welcome to this week's edition of Dolphin Radio. And now, here's your hosts, Brad Michaels and John Bach. All right, welcome again to Dolphin Radio. I'm Brad Michaels alongside John Bach. John, here we go again. I think the Dolphins lost, as everybody knows. I think, 450 to 17? Or maybe that was the yardage.
That was the yardage. But, I think we started okay, and then we fell off again. But there were so many things that just made me perplexed all week. I got so absorbed into watching the offensive line play this week, I barely saw the game. And I always laugh about that anyways, because everybody asks me how my kid's team does. I'm like, I don't really watch him. I only watch him.
Right.
So I don't really know how the rest of the team did. I don't know who got the ball, who you threw it to. I watch him. So for me this week, I spent all day just watching the offensive line being completely dumbfounded.
Well, I want you to share with our audience what you called me about. What was that? That was still in the first quarter. You called me and said, take a look at Robert Hunt.
Well, if you guys want to play at home this week, you can play the game with me at home. So I'm watching the offensive line, and for whatever reason, the right guard will turn around in shotgun and stare at the quarterback. Now, if he stares at the quarterback, it's a pass. If he just glances and lines up, it's run or play action. So I'm sure if I picked that up, I'm sure the Tampa Bay defensive coordinator picked it up, and I'm sure everybody on the Tampa staff knew and everybody that were playing. You can call the Dolphins run or pass by depending how long Robert Hunt looks at the quarterback.
Which I don't understand, and I know you don't either. I don't understand why he's staring back at the quarterback anyway. He should be getting his signals from the center.
Oh, when you snap a ball, you know how deep the quarterback is, and you know where he lines up. Why you would ever look at him for any reason is ridiculous, because don't say it was a snap count. That's a dumb remark, because a guard doesn't have to hear a snap count.
No.
Never happens.
Watch for the snap.
You watch the ball out of the corner of your eye, and then you watch the defense. But here you got Robert Hunt staring, looking at the quarterback till the snap. His eyes are off the defense. The defense is moving, bringing pressure, and then he has to get his eyes back on the defense and then resort everything in his mind within a half a second. I've never seen anything like this in my entire life where there was such a poker tell.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's amazing because, he graded out on Miami run blocking on PFF. He graded out number 5 with a 64.7. And had he not had to turn his head back around at the snap of the ball or right before the snap of the ball, he probably would have been a little higher than that. Liam Eichenberg graded out for run blocking at 91, by the way.
Yeah, well, they finally made the move and moved Eichenberg out to left tackle. They put Austin Jackson inside.
Yep.
So now you got a guard playing left tackle, and then you have a left tackle playing left guard.
Yeah. Go figure.
It's a comedy of errors right now on this offensive line. And again, I was so obsessed with the offensive line that I didn't even watch the game. I could not believe what I was seeing, and that they're not picking anything up. They're not doing what they're supposed to. But again, we talked about Gadsden. Where was he the last couple of weeks? Well, Gadsden played well. 5 attempts, 25-yard, 5-yard average.
Yep.
Long of 13.
And not to mention what he did in the passing game.
Attempts. Well, he only got 5 attempts. So do you really want to keep Tom Brady on the field as long as you did? That's ridiculous. If you're not an offense that can score, at least run the ball and control the clock. We didn't do that.
No.
Time of possession, 37-22 again this week.
And I'm glad you brought that up.
Move the ball.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to point this out to you again. We pointed it out last week, how atrocious the time of possession was overall. Get this. First quarter, Dolphins, 7 minutes and 31 seconds. Second quarter, 5:39. Third quarter, 5:52. And then are you ready for this one in the fourth quarter? 3 minutes and 51 seconds.
Well, giving Tom Brady the ball at all is a recipe for disaster.
Five touchdowns.
Did you see the third down conversions? The third down conversions, we were 2 of 7 for 28.6%. They were 8 of 11 for 72%.
72.7.
50% on third downs winning football.
Yeah.
They were almost 75% on third down. We're not even talking about red zone. I mean, we want to be 75% in the red zone. They were 75% on third down.
Right. 67% in the red zone. They were 4 of 6 in the red zone.
Well, at least our defense stiffened up a little. Otherwise, that beating would have been worse than we took.
Well, Tom Brady with 5 touchdown passes, that's bad enough. So, you were obsessed with watching the offensive line, and you've now come up with, and we need this possibly this year for Dolphins fans, you now have a drinking game courtesy of my co-host, and it's called Pass or Run. If you pick it right, you can tell somebody that's at your watch party to take a drink.
I just wish I was at the game so I could see it, because I'm depending on the television giving me the right view of the play.
Right.
But I even brought my fiance in the pool with me. I go, look, I watched the game from the pool, by the way. Sorry if you're jealous about that. But I made her watch the iPad with me in the pool. I go, watch this. I go, I'll tell you everything, if it's run or pass on every play, just by what that fat right guard's doing. And she goes, you can't do that. I go, yeah, watch me. I go, run, pass, run, pass, run. It was a joke, because you can't have a tell like that in the National Football League. If you don't think those linebackers can see that, and then all of a sudden now it's run or play action, you're going to mug the guy. If it's run or play action, you're going to mug them. And even on the non-play that they ran, the 4th and 3, where they punted it, he glanced back, lined up. I knew it was wrong. So it wound up being no play. And then every time he stares at the quarterback, it's a pass. So if you can find that out, you can call it out.
Well, and we talked about it when you called me and pointed that out to me in the game. We talked about that. It's a perfect poker tell. If we figured it out, or if you figured it out, guaranteed Tampa Bay's coaches were figuring it out. They knew.
You have to. It might as well be a drinking game if the season's going to keep going like this. At least give me something to do on a Sunday. Absolutely.
And speaking of the season as a potential, and I hate to say it as a potential joke, it's not a joke. I hope that if the season does go sour, and it's already going that way, if it continues to go that way, I hope they use it as a learning experience and figure out what they need in the offseason to plug these holes up. But and I kind of lost my train of thought there. That's what's happening with this team, though. But I saw an article today, I can't remember, I think it was in the Sun Sentinel, and they were talking about, okay, the Dolphins need to just wipe this 1-4 start away. Get it behind you, forget about it. Okay, it's like golf. Forget that last shot. Let's go forward from here. So we have 12 games left. Let's concentrate on playing our best football starting Sunday in London against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And let's see what our record is for the next 12 games. If we go 9-3, we go 8-4, okay, that's better. But if we continue down the path that we're on, I'm not even sure we're going to see 6 wins this year.
I don't know if we lose to Jacksonville, they're going to burn the stadium down.
Oh,
and then is that a home game for us as well? And we got to play it away in London.
I didn't even pay it. It probably is. I didn't really pay any attention to it. I think it is a home game. Let me double check here. I'll just go to trustynfl.com.
It doesn't matter,
but tell me.
We're losing a home game, and the Jacksonville. That's a must win for this organization right now. And I don't care what you have to do, but you got to figure that out.
Nope. Jacksonville's technically the home team.
Okay. So. At least we didn't lose a home game over it. No. We lost one last year and the year before. So
yeah, and usually it's no wonder that you thought it was probably a home game for us, because it usually is when we play in London. It's usually a Miami home game, but this time they didn't screw us. But this is a must win. If I've ever, it's hard to say if 5 games into a season in week 6, you're talking about this is a must win. But hey, folks, I'm telling you, Jacksonville is not a good team. Miami is not a good team, but we're supposed to be a lot better. We should be a lot better than Jacksonville. If we lose to Jacksonville, like you said, they're going to burn the stadium down.
They got to right the ship as soon as they can right now. But I mean, they have 20 coaches on that staff. They watch collectively, call it 4,000 hours of film a month. I mean, between those 20 coaches, it's about 4,000 hours. For no one to see that offensive line giving up that tell is ridiculous. I wouldn't let my youth players do that. I wouldn't let my high school players do that. My college players do that. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen, and no one is correcting this or giving you a reason why. I mean, why does a right guard look at anybody? You're a guard. Shut up and block the guy, the 3 technique that's over you. That's all you got to do. Center's got to make some calls. A tackle's got an athlete to play against. A guard, you're big and fat. The guy you're playing against is big and fat. Other than a linebacker blitzing, you got nothing else to look at. He's not even evaluating pre-snap of what he's going to see. So when you're going to take pre-snap out of your game as a lineman, you're dead in the water, brother.
Oh, absolutely. I don't understand it either. It doesn't make any sense to me why he would be looking back, period.
No, but all right, if there's a reason behind it, you have to be consistent.
Sure.
He's not consistent with it. He's long or short. Short is run or play action. Long is pass. And those defensive ends, if I'm the defensive line coach, I'm telling that left defensive end, you stare at that right guard. If he's staring at the quarterback, lay your ears back and come off the damn edge.
Yep.
Or tell the linebackers to blitz it.
Sure.
If he just takes a short look, I would tell the linebackers to jump the coverage and tell the end to squat and play the edge. I mean, if I did that to you, if I could do that to you every snap, if I could squat the edge, or I could press, or I could lay my ears back and come after you, my defensive lineman has the easiest job in the world. He has one key. He does 3 things. That's it.
Yep. I was just going to say that's a perfect key or a tell. Yeah. I don't get it. And maybe someday we'll find out. Maybe Coach Flo will explain that at some point.
Well, if he doesn't start winning, we're going to find out when he's fired, and everybody else starts talking about it. I mean, this offensive line's been bad for long enough. We spent money. We spent draft choices. We've done all that to try to pick it up. But that's why I made the post. I go, to me, that's coaching. Mm-hmm. It's coaching that this guy is making the same mistake game in and game out, and no one's correcting it. So if you want to win, the Dolphins are losing, he may be a great player, but I can't tell because he's not being corrected. So I don't know if it's him, but if it is him, then the coach should bench him. But the coach isn't benching him. I don't see him trying to turn away from that. And you can't go into an NFL game and tell Mo Lewis or Ray Lewis, all right, Ray Lewis, watch that guard. Whatever he does, do the opposite.
Sure.
I mean, you're done.
Well, it makes no sense to me.
It's so frustrating for me to watch it. It's so frustrating for me to watch it. We're still not seeing counters. We're still not seeing power. We can run the ball. Myles Gaskin is a decent running back. We're not giving him the attempts. I mean, he was targeted 10 times for 10 receptions for 74 yards in the back. Rushed it 5 times for 25 when he was running it. Mm-hmm. That's a productive player. In a game against Tom Brady, you're going to come up with 22 minutes of time possession when your running back's catching the ball and he's running the ball well. That is inexcusable on any coaching staff in America.
Well, and it's interesting because now we're starting to talk about this coaching staff, and that was something that we thought going into this season was a strong point. We thought, Brian Flores showed us a lot last year, but then now you start to think back some of the questionable ways that he handled Tua last year. I mean, yanking him, then putting him back in the next week as the starter, and then he'd have another poor game and he'd yank him for Ryan Fitzpatrick. And I made a post this week on Facebook, and I said one of the biggest mistakes that we made was not re-signing Ryan Fitzpatrick, because I think that he was that that just that little bit of confidence in that quarterback room that Tua could look at and know that if I screw up, he can come in and save the day. Not that I like that approach, and I think that approach might be wrong, but now we're starting to see an awful lot of questionable things from this coaching staff. We've got 2 offensive coordinators, third guy calling plays. Now, they stopped that in the Tampa game, and they're claiming that it worked out a little bit better to have, was it Godsey was the one that was calling in the plays, and Studesville's down on the sideline. So they cut out Fry. That gave him a little bit more time to, set, go in motion, things like that, and get out of that huddle a lot quicker so that they could do those types of things. So they finally learned that experiment maybe wasn't the best experiment. So are we finally going to go to one offensive coordinator? Does one guy finally win that position? And then there's other questionable things. The defensive coordinator, the defense has regressed. We're not seeing that play from our defense. Our defense probably kept us in a lot of games last year. Now the defense is all over the place. And I can't say it was entirely the defense's fault, but as each week goes on, the defense is getting worse and worse and worse.
Well, because you're leaving them on the field for almost 40 minutes a game.
Yep.
I mean, that's on the coaching staff and that's on the offense right now. Yeah, they're a good defense, but so they have to play 2/3 of the game, and the offense only has to play a third and then split that third with special teams. That makes absolutely no sense. You're killing our defense. I mean, I thought Roberts, the linebacker, played really well. He had a busted play, but when he ran with Florette down the sideline on that wheel route,
that was a great play.
I thought that was fantastic. But how many times can he run that wheel route against Florette before he gets his butt off the field and gets some rest? Yeah. You're going to tire out.
Well, and that's the thing. You talk about a tired defense. Look at Indianapolis Monday night. They were so gassed at the end of that game. I mean, that's all the announcers were talking about. And I knew it going into overtime. I knew if Baltimore won that coin toss, they were going to go down and get a touchdown and win that game because Indianapolis's defense had been on the field so long, all night long. Just at the end of regulation, they were so gassed they gave up the touchdown and another 2-point conversion to get the game into overtime anyway. So, like you said, if you're on the field that much as a defensive unit, you're going to be breathing heavy, and it's going to be a long day for you.
Well, that's what's going on right now, and we're all diehard fans. We all love this franchise. We all love the organization. But sooner or later, I mean, man, it's been 20 years of average football. There's no sign that we're a playoff team. There's no sign that we're a Super Bowl contender. There's no sign that we're one player away or 2 players away. There's no continuity in the coaching. It's frustrating.
Well, and we're missing on draft picks. I mean, I know hindsight's 2020. We could have picked Justin Herbert. Everybody's screaming a lot, we should have taken Justin Herbert. And I've said it, I wanted him. And hindsight's 2020, and our coaching staff, they could be sitting there going, oh, God, we could have had that kid. I mean, he's gone 7 straight games without throwing an interception. I don't want to go there with
Justin Herbert because everybody did their analysis. And, I'm not an expert in personnel. But Herbert was a hometown kid who stayed home in Oregon. Yeah. Anybody that's been to Oregon, I mean, it makes California look conservative.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was always worried about if Herbert could leave and be successful.
Well, if you think about it, going from Oregon to Southern California, and I know LA is it's a huge, it's something that's a huge culture shock, but still.
Herbert had a big question mark on him. Was he mentally tough enough to play in the National Football League? Sure. And everybody evaluated him. Everybody knew that. I got that. When that pick happened, I still remember this, and I posted about it, and I said, look, if you've done your research and you're not sure on Tua, trade the damn pick, or at least get it the most value you can get out of that position. If Tua wasn't the guy, and with our draft capital, we could always move up the year after, and we chose not to do that. So Tua's on this organization.
All right, so let's go on to fixing the Dolphins, and what I wanted to talk about on this one was what would Shula do?
wouldn't be in this position.
Well, that's true.
They wouldn't be. I mean, he would have ran the football and kept himself close and played with good defense.
Yeah.
And we're not doing that. We're not running the football. We're not keeping games close, time of possession, all that. Don Shula would never have been in this position because he never would have given Marino he never would have given Dan Marino that much control of the offense if Dan wasn't succeeding.
Right.
Shula would have taken it back over. And that's the difference between Shula and everything else that we're seeing. There's a few ways to get this thing back on the right track. Best thing is we got to go back to play action, running the ball, using different running schemes, keeping the ball in our hands, and then hopefully making some plays down the field. But when you're seeing these quarterbacks make these plays down the field and we can't, it's sad. We finally, Preston.
Preston Williams.
Yeah. He's finally showing what he can do because Devontae Parker's out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we have some good things going on. That line has to be fixed. You can't give a towel that much.
No.
And we got to get back to some basics. But, I mean, if you're going to leave your defense on the field for 2/3 of every game, you're going to lose.
Well, absolutely. And, it's interesting because you and I talked about this last year. On Facebook, we were discussing Miami Dolphins football and where we thought the Dolphins were heading. And we talked about this looked like we were being built to be what we call a downhill team. The downhill team is pretty much old school smash mouth football. Run the ball to set up the pass. That way you don't have to have a per se franchise quarterback that can put you on his shoulders and will you to victory because you're going to control the clock with your running game. That sets up your play action and sets up your passing game. So now you just need an adequate quarterback that's going to be a decent game manager, knows how to throw the football, knows how to run a 2-minute drill, and then you have a championship caliber defense. That's championship football. That's what Shula built. Yeah, everybody says, well, when Marino came in, he went to a full-on passing game. Well, that's true because you had that strength, because you had a special player like Marino. Everybody in the Dolphins and the fans, the football team, everybody in the front office for the past 20 years has been looking for Marino's replacement. Stop it. We don't need Marino's replacement. There is no replacement for Marino. A franchise quarterback is it's a generational type player. Go get yourself a power running back, build an offensive line, and control the clock.
Well, the year after we got rid of Marino, we won the AFC East.
Yeah, with Jay Fiedler.
Jay Fiedler managing offense, running the football, playing great defense. We won the division. So you don't need a great quarterback. It helps. But at the same time, if you can't do basic things, you can't just sling it down the field every time and be 3 and out and leave your defense on the field. Yeah. We're not converting third downs. We're not moving the chains. We're not running the football. No, tell me what you're scared if you have to play us. What scares you other than Xavier and Howard?
Well, he's not even playing great right now because he's out on the field so much. So he got Tom Brady picked on him all week last week.
Tom Brady looked as good as anybody ever has that game. For as old as he is and what he's doing, he's amazing to watch. I mean, throwing off his back foot and hitting the back shoulder throw.
I know, it's amazing to watch it.
I can't believe that he made that throw. I mean, to me, it was awesome. And it's a great run team, and they have great chemistry. So hats off to Tampa. I'm becoming a Tampa fan, actually, because of Brady, And if you don't like Brady, you're just a hater. I mean, guy's married to a supermodel wife.
Yep.
All his teammates love him. He works hard. I mean, if you don't like Tom Brady, you're just a hater. Well, if you can't appreciate that greatness, it took me a long time.
Me too.
And him leaving New England helped.
Yep.
But at the same time, I mean, I'm glad I'm getting to watch him because I never really watched him before when he worked when he was in the Patriots. So this year, because I'm becoming more of a Tampa fan, I've been able to watch him, and he's just unbelievable. He's just unbelievable.
So next week on Buccaneers Fan Radio, no, just kidding.
I'm
the same. I'm the same. I'm always going to be a Dolphin fan, but I have a greater appreciation of Tom Brady also. And I think part of it is you see you see what he's all about. You see his personality now that he's out of Tampa. And when you hear him on his show, Let's Go on NFL Sirius XM radio, I love listening to this guy talk because you can tell he's having fun. And you can tell he's probably the coolest guy in the locker room. I mean, he's got to be the most popular player on the team. Everybody loves this guy.
No, he is.
And I'm getting
when Larry Izzo left the Dolphins to go up to New England.
I remember Larry.
It was him and Damon Heward,
yep.
Scott Zolak. About 4 or 5 of us, the 4 or 5 guys from the Dolphins went to Tampa.
Yep.
And the first thing he heard is this: Tom's a great guy. He brings you over to his house. You hang out. He cooks you dinner. He does all this. He's just a complete teammate. But being able to see his personality in Tampa, I still can't believe he threw that Super Bowl trophy from boat to boat.
I know.
Somebody spends a lot of time on the boat. That was crazy. I couldn't even imagine if it went in the intercoastal there. So,
that might have been his best. That might have been the best pass he's ever made in his career.
Oh, that thing was dropped. He never lived it down. So that was great. But again, we have to do things better. We know. I don't feel like giving a Florida speech right now. Where we got to be better. It's time to rally the troops and circle the wagons and fight your way out. You know, you're in a dogfight right now. You got to fight your way out of it, and you got to get mean. Yeah. And I'd rather see people getting mean to fight their way out of it than some of this other BS we have to deal with. Urban Meyer and John Gruden. I don't want to deal with any of that.
Yeah.
You know, stick to what you do on the football field. I'm tired of everybody's politics.
Well, and that's the thing. That's a whole nother discussion too, is when politics came into sports, not just the NFL, but into sports.
I don't want to talk about it anymore.
I'm going to skip ahead here just a little bit because we're talking about Tom Brady. Tom Brady, 44 years old. I want to go back 20 years and talk about a player, Lamar Jackson, who's 24 years old. And an interesting stat that I showed you, Lamar Jackson on this season so far, his combined yardage, passing and rushing, is 1,860 yards. That is better.
From? Hey, where's he from?
Louisville, yep. That's better than 18 teams' total yardage in the National Football League. That's better than, and
everybody wanted to make him a wide receiver.
Yeah.
I mean, Lamar Jackson, I'm so happy for him. A fellow alumni, a fellow Cardinal. I love Lamar. I love what he's doing. And he can beat you several ways, and he's so fast. And I mean, he is so fast.
That comeback Monday night, I mean, I'm telling you, Indianapolis, obviously their defense was gassed. But you still got to make the plays, and Lamar Jackson made every play. I'm going to go down this list real quick. It's 18 teams that don't have as much yardage as a team that Lamar Jackson is beating. He's with 1,860. So you start with the San Francisco 49ers, then the Colts, the Panthers, the Broncos, the Seahawks, Washington football team, the Jaguars, the Packers, the Atlanta Falcons, Detroit Lions, Cincinnati Bengals, the New England Patriots, Pittsburgh Steelers, New Orleans Saints, Houston Texans, the Jets, the Dolphins, and then finally the Chicago Bears. That's 18 teams that Lamar Jackson personally, rushing and passing yardage, is beating all of those teams' combined yardage. Well, not their combined yardage, but their yardage as a team. That's incredible.
They'd be surprised if he's not Player of the Year. I mean,
he's got to be in the conversation. He has to be.
I don't know who's going to beat him out. I mean, what other player right now can beat him out for Player of the Year?
In the AFC, nobody.
Enough to Brady, and Brady's numbers aren't that great. I mean, Brady's numbers are good. I mean, his last week's numbers were fantastic.
Yeah, we gave him 5 touchdown passes, though.
But I think Lamar Jackson has to be candidate for NFL Player of the Year. I'm really happy for him. He's a South Florida kid. Actually, Lamar Thomas found him at Boynton Beach High School, and nobody knew who he was. So, you know, you had Teddy Bridgewater come out of here first and went to Louisville, and then they got him out of here, and now he's doing great. So I'm very happy for Lamar.
Yeah, and you just have to – I knew the kid was special years ago when we first saw him coming out. I mean, he's been a winner everywhere, high school, college, now pro. Baltimore's going to be a team to reckon with. Everybody's pointing to San Diego because the Chiefs are down at 2-3 right now. Everybody's pointing to Cleveland. Cleveland has some problems. I think it's coming down to Buffalo is obviously, I think they've shown they're the cream of the crop in the AFC, but you can't discount Baltimore.
God, do you see Josh Allen hurdle that guy for a first down?
God, Josh Allen's turning into a beast. Yeah. And the entire Buffalo team
was great.
just head and shoulders above the rest.
But I love Josh Allen's story as well. Here's a guy that had no Division I offers. Goes to junior college, has no offers, sends out 100 letters to different Division I schools, and Wyoming takes a chance on him.
Yeah.
So there's a young man who had tremendous perseverance, and he made his life happen even when everything was going against him and people said that he couldn't do it. I'm sure that chip on his shoulder is huge. And, again, as someone who played for the Bills as well, I mean, I'm happy to see Josh Allen do great. Again, I'm a Miami Dolphin fan. I'm not a Buffalo Bills fan. But for someone to overcome that much adversity, to be as successful as he's become, that's a real testament to him.
Absolutely. And that chip on his shoulder is to every one of those Division I coaches that didn't give him a scholarship, whether when he was coming out of high school or when he was in junior college, and he had to go in and he had to write those letters, and Wyoming was the one that called him up and said,
who wants to play at Wyoming?
Nobody. I mean, there's nothing in Wyoming.
You pick any school, I wouldn't want to play at Wyoming.
No, nobody wants to play up there. Nobody wants to be up in Wyoming. What's in Wyoming? Nothing.
Well, they play good football there.
That's true. Well, because they're just a bunch of big boys because they're used to being out there and lifting those bales of hay and feeding that cattle and running those ranches.
Best way to get to the best workout program you have is baling hay on a farm in the summer.
Absolutely. All right, John, let's get to this week's matchup. We've got the 0-5 Jacksonville Jaguars with their distraction, their coach, Urban Meyer, against our 1-4 Dolphins. This is the London game. So everybody get up early Sunday morning to catch this game. This is a
9:30 kickoff Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, and it's 6:30 for me. Never before have I ever seen a more important game in Week 6. If you're a Dolphin fan, than this game is.
Yeah, but that's the same place that Jacksonville's in now. And Urban Meyer is a smart coach.
It's scary.
I'm not happy where we're at. And usually you'd say, okay, yeah, we're gonna go in. We'll beat the Jags by 31.
Usually
but we have our problems and they have their problems, and don't think they're not going to be motivated because Urban Meyer's trying to dig himself out of the stupid hole he got himself into.
And a win for Urban Meyer would go a long way in burying that video.
A win for Urban Meyer goes a long way. A loss for Miami goes a long way.
Yeah.
I mean, now you're lighting fires when that happens. So both these coaches are in the hot seat right now.
I was just going to ask you that.
Because of their team's performance, and especially Urban Meyer could have got away with his team's performance because they're so bad and they have a rookie quarterback. But they were getting that quarterback if Urban Meyer was the coach or not. So Urban Meyer is on the hot seat. Flores probably is on the hot seat, but the organizations are right now. So it's going to – I don't even want to make a call. I mean, it's going to be whoever shows up. I don't know if it's going to be Miami shows up.
We haven't shown up any week. I mean, to be honest with you, if it hadn't have been for Xavier Howard popping that fumble out in week 1, we'd be 0-5.
It's let's get through this week. We're almost at the mid-season break. 2 more weeks. This week and 2 more, we're at mid-season then.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think it's a better time to evaluate where we are. As far as this week, I don't know what to say. I don't know which team's going to show up.
I don't either.
I don't know if the Dolphins are going to rally and they play great, or they're going to start fighting with each other and not get better.
Well,
It's a very difficult. I wouldn't want to be in Vegas and bet this game. So no, I wouldn't bet this game.
I ain't touching this game. I ain't touching.
I wouldn't touch it.
Who do you think's on more of the? I mean, Tua's coming back, and I want to bring that up because we're talking about hot seats. Is Coach Flores on the hot seat? Chris Greer's obviously in the hot seat.
Chris Greer's on the hot seat.
He's definitely
he fielded this team.
Yeah. He's the one responsible for making these draft picks. Now, I know he's trying to pick players that are going to fit into Coach Flo's system, but there's been that scuttlebutt out there all along. Coach Flores didn't want Tua. He wanted Justin Herbert. Of course, now you're talking about the owner wants Deshaun Watson. But
I wouldn't have taken Tua or Herbert. I would have passed on Herbert. I would have made the same mistake.
What do you take of the gym that Tagovailoa trains at tweeting on Sunday, I believe it was, that Brian Flores has lost the locker room? There's a lot of conversation about that as to whether or not they got inside information from Tua
Who
or several.
said that?
The gym where Tua trains.
Who?
There's a gym. Let me see here. I got to take the glasses off because I'm old
trains.
that I can't read with my glasses.
Why would you train anywhere but your own gym?
Beats me. Here's
That's how you lose a locker room.
Here's from fan-sided. Jeremy Klump wrote, "It felt like things could not get worse for the Dolphins. But after the beatdown, Dolphins fans on social media were fuming. There were some overreactions for sure, but where is it? Okay, here we go. It all started with a poll on Dolphins Twitter asking fans, in your opinion, has Flores lost the locker room? The gym
knows that if you're not in the building.
The gym that Tagovailoa trains at, social media account at per the number 4 and then ORM, so perform, replied and said, I meant yes, sorry. Later on, they said former running back Jordan Scarlett also trains there. Tua Tagovailoa loves running back Jordan Scarlett, and that tweet has since been, one of the tweets has since been deleted.
Well, I tell you what, as a coach, if I found that out, I'd bench Tua right now. I'd bench him if he was talking that way outside the complex. Why anybody would train outside of an NFL complex doesn't make any sense to me.
Especially in
train
season.
With your teammates. Yep. In season, off season. I mean, Dan Marino was the only guy not allowed to show up to all our workouts. Was Dan Marino. I mean, we all trained together. We all ate together. We all hung out together. Why are you training with a bunch of moron gym heads?
Yeah,
not doing anything.
I don't get it.
Chris Carter's gym's the same way. I don't care for any of this. These ex-pros and all their speed techniques, and you have the best trainers in the world. You have the best strength coaches in the world. Train in the building. So that takes all these people out of it that are prying you for questions. And then what happens is they go out and they start spreading these rumors that could be true, they could not be true. But at least if you're all in house, you guys keep it now.
You keep it in house.
These guys should stop training with everybody else. What about Brady? When Brady went and trained with Peyton Manning, what did Brady tells that story? What did Brady do? Brady suckered Peyton Manning in to give him that play action off trap protection with the throws. Dig and dag.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. I throw the dig here. Well, what happens if they cover? Well, then I throw dag. So because Brady was working out with Peyton Manning, he stole what Peyton Manning knew. And nobody ever has said anything about that. I don't want my quarterback talking with that quarterback about anything that I'm doing. Now, Brady didn't give anything up, but Peyton Manning did because he's a big talker and he couldn't keep his mouth shut. So all these guys training, I'm not a fan of it. It's a bad week. We're 1-4. We're not playing well right now. You got dirt in the air and mud in the street because what people are saying. Everybody needs to shut up, go back to work, and stay in your locker room and stay in your own lane.
Yeah, I agree. And I thought that too. I thought, well, why is Tua going to a gym outside of the training complex? You've got the state-of-the-art equipment and training center right there. What are you doing going to a private gym? I don't care who this trainer is. I don't care if it's Tom Brady himself that's training.
I wouldn't tolerate. As a head coach, I wouldn't tolerate it. I would not tolerate it. I would fine you. Or in your contracts, I would make sure that the workouts were in-house. And then if you didn't, you wouldn't get your bonus, whatever it's $1 million or $1.5 million workout bonus, whatever you're getting. I wouldn't pay you if those workouts weren't done in-house where I can watch you, I can supervise you, I can video you, I can see exactly what's going on. I don't need you going to a South Beach gym or the Gold's Gym on Venice Beach.
Right.
Stay here, train with me. Don't train with a bunch of steroid heads that aren't doing anything with their lives anyway.
That don't know football anyway.
Bodybuilders and trainers. I'd rather you be in my house than in somebody else's house because I don't know what's being said, and I don't want anything coming out disparagingly on my team. So I think the coaching staff and the GMs, they got to handle this in contract negotiation. I would make them work out the facility. I would not let them train anywhere else. And if they trained anywhere else and they got hurt, I would consider a non-football injury, and I would not pay you.
No, that's a good point. And that's the reason that the NFL teams have their own training facilities and their own head trainers and their own training staff. Brings me to one other question, and I want to ask you to close out the show this week. Dolphins have a lot of nagging injuries. You look at Devontae Parker, his entire career, except for, the 2019 season when he finally had that breakout year and he played almost every game. He's always got a nagging injury, usually a hamstring or some muscle that he can't go 100%, and he misses games. He missed last week's game because of the hamstring. This is happening too often, not just with Devontae Parker. This happens with a lot of guys. What is going on in the Dolphins training room?
Well, I posted about this 3 years ago. I would tear the bubble down. I would tear it down. You can't be in a climate-controlled environment and then expect to go out in the heat and not get hurt. You have to teach your body how to sweat. You have to teach your body how to get hurt and recover from it. It's like a boxer just shadow boxing his whole life. Well, if you be not doing the road work, not getting ever hit by anybody else, it's a big difference. I would tear the dome down. I wouldn't practice in the dome. Go out in the heat. That's where you play.
Get used to it.
Sorry about that.
That's quite all right. Shula's teams were conditioned, and they never went in a bubble, I don't think, until maybe in the early 90s they finally started.
No, we never had a bubble.
Never.
No, there was never a bubble.
All right.
Never one. We didn't have one. We didn't have a bubble like 2003.
It's funny you start talking about boxing and somebody that is just shadow boxing, and then you have to get into a ring. It reminds me, go look up, there's a comedian, Rodney Carrington. He used to have the Rodney Carrington show on ABC. And he was in a movie, Beer for My Horses, with Toby Keith. But he was talking about boxing, and he said, I could whoop the shit out of that boxing bag. But he said, when I got into the ring with a guy, he said, okay, we're going to really go at it. And he hit me. He said, it's so funny, you got to watch it. He said, when he hit me right between the eyes, he said, I started crying. I think I pooped. I mean, it's hysterical. You got to go watch that. But John, as always, great show. We were very passionate today, and look, folks, if you're offended, you're offended. I mean, obviously, there's nothing we can do about that. But just going to reiterate.
Hey, you can't cancel me. I can't be canceled.
I ain't canceling you at all. We love you, John. We'll have a show from here. I'll be in studio here next week, and then the week after that, though, I'm flying in on the 22nd, but I get in there about midnight. So I'll see you on Saturday, the 23rd. Maybe we'll hook up at Bo Campers for lunch or something.
I just want everybody to know, in case you're not, if your mental health isn't good right now, we are going to put the suicide hotline number on our website.
We might have to. After this show. All right. Listen, Dolphins, we got to keep our heads up. Hopefully we go in, we figure some things out here before we head into London. John, any last words before we sign off this week?
I think everybody just needs to take a step back and realize that people in life are just trying to get along. We all love each other. We all like each other. Don't let little people just bring bad things into your life, which is what's going on right now in football with a lot of things that are being said in politics. Leave it out. Let's all just enjoy it. Absolutely. All right. Well, hopefully fins up. Hopefully we get the win in London against the Jacksonville Jaguars. We'll see you next week right here on Dolphin Radio. I'm Brad Michaels along with John Bach. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to Dolphin Radio. Find us on the web at www.dolphinradio.com.